The Nikki Glaser Podcast. The Nikki Glaser Podcast.
Here's Nikki.
Hello, here I am. It's the Nikki Glaser Podcast. Welcome to the show. I'm in St. Louis, Missouri, alone in studio. My sister was maybe going to make an appearance on this show today, but she couldn't get a babysitter. And when she floated the idea to my parents yesterday, where she was like, Nikki asked me to be on the podcast, and they were all hanging out, that's when they're supposed to go, we'll watch the kids while you do it. She said they didn't pick up the bait.
What if they brought the
God.
kids?
Huh?
We have extra microphones. Why didn't she bring the kids?
That would be such hell to listen to. It's hell to be around when you love them more than anything you've ever loved anything. So I think if you're just a podcast listener, it would truly be hell on earth to listen to those screaming kids. It'd be cute at first and maybe interesting. We could do something with it. Believe me, it crossed my mind. But then it also crossed my mind that we would get in a good conversation. The kids would wander around my apartment and there would be something, a very tragic image befell my brain, and I don't want to go into what I thought about, but it's like, I'm on a high rise, okay? So a little Eric Clapton song
Michael
started
Jackson.
playing. Yeah, Michael Jackson, no. Michael Jackson is the best way that could end.
Yes.
Just a dangling baby is different than one that drops to his death. So,
Turtle, yes.
Yes. But you write a hit song about it. I think that I never got why people are like, oh, he wrote a song about he profited off his kid's death. Sorry that he felt his feelings and that's what came out.
He processed his emotions and made art.
Are you supposed to
Beautiful
just
song.
put that song up for charity to keep windows, to have better regulations for windows and high rises? Is that what you're supposed to do with that money
Yeah.
so you don't profit off your son's death?
I'm sure as soon as his son hurtled to his death, he was like, yes, another song.
It just starts. Oh, that's
Oh, my
Wonderful Tonight. Hold on. What if Wonderful Tonight was the song that was inspired? It's just a totally different song. We're like, wait, not Tears in Heaven? It's like, no, I just realized in that moment how much I was connected with my wife because we weren't going to have this thing between us anymore.
He's like, no, I wrote Tears in Heaven purely for the money. The other one was for the kid.
That manifested it. I actually wrote Tears in Heaven prior too. Such a tragic thing. But I wrote a song the other day and I started crying when I was singing it. I told the girls chat this. It's embarrassing to admit to the public. But I just felt so, and I mean this just humorously, but it also is the first word that came to my mind when I started crying to the own thing that I was singing to myself that I had just written. I felt gay. I felt like the middle school
Gay, like
definition,
happy?
middle school 1997 definition of gay. And I'm not thinking about gay people when I say
No.
that, and I hope gay people know I mean that, and I'm just using it for humor. I'm sorry if it hurt your feelings, but I just felt I felt embarrassed. But then I was talking to but then it's so crazy because right after it happened, I was like, oh, are you crying to your little song, Nikki? Are you feeling your feelings? But I also was like, I felt it and it passed through me. And then I picked up, which I have right on my shelf in my kitchen, actually, so that I've always put it there. So someday I would just be like, I'm just going to pick this up and read it. And I fucking did. And it's Jeff Tweedy's How to Write One Song. And so
yeah.
I was just, and it's kind of a small book. It looks like a bathroom read? Like what's a coffee table book, but not big.
Yeah.
One that you can pick up and just like read an excerpt and it's not like a thing. So it's it's the size of, it's inviting. And I just went to a random chapter and I sat down in like this, I have this like circular chair in my living room that's out of place because I always pictured putting it in a nook where I would read, like into a nook of a room. Because it's
Like
like
a
this
toilet.
big yeah, like a
Perfect for
toilet.
reading. It makes you want to read.
Yeah, but it's like, it's just what you would envision if you were like, because you can put your whole body on it and tuck into it. It's big circle, white, and a perfect circle. And it has, and it's just small enough and you just feel like it's two people, it's too uncomfortable, but one person, it's perfect. And I always envisioned myself like having this in a nook to read, but it's always just been in the middle of my living room and no one sits on it. And we just put Guitar Hero on it. But I took Guitar Hero off and I sat in that nook and I turned it to face my balcony because sometimes I want to be on my balcony, but it's too thin. It's the tiniest, thinnest balcony you'll ever
what is
see.
that?
So
Why do they
you have
even
to walk
make those?
past people. If you're walking with two people, you literally brush up against the person so
You
that
can
you're
barely
not
dangle a
falling
baby off that thing.
Oh yeah, you gotta be indoors to dangle the baby because your arms extend past the length or the
Unreal.
width of it. Yeah. It's so I was like, so it was so perfect. I used the couch. I read this book that was what I was doing at the time, and then I also put my phone on the other couch. Get out of here, phone. I don't want to be distracted. I'm gonna
Good.
read an actual book that's not on my
Hell yeah.
phone, which is very much not how I read. And then I faced it to the balcony and opened the window, the sliding window. And so I'm like on the balcony, but like just outside of it. Like it's right outside.
Oh my God, did a bird fly in?
No,
Please
oh my
don't
God, that
end
would
this
be
with
the
a bird
best
flying
part
in.
of it. That's Noah's nightmare, and mine would be like if a bird suddenly was attracted to me and like liked the bliss I was putting out in the world, and I felt like Snow White, and it like came to me and wanted to be on my arm. I would be the happiest girl in the world. And that's so funny, Noah, that is your absolute nightmare.
I want to say I love birds. I just don't like them in enclosed spaces with me.
Because the fear is the wings will hit
This is
you
like-
in the face.
This is like the
chaotic.
Love
claws
is
will
Blind
get in your
clip.
hair.
It's like the chick from Love is Blind that you sent.
Yes.
So
This is a common fear, and I do not judge it.
I was so happy to hear that someone else has this insane
But I do
fear.
want to poke holes in it. So, what is the fear, though?
I'm okay. Just like
What's
seeing
going to
a
happen?
bird,
Worst case.
seeing the bird slam into the ceiling and then just like drop on me.
Yeah, that's not fun either. Seeing a little bird get injured and scared, it's freakish. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it freaks out on my face.
Oh, okay. So there we go. So it's going to your face to freak out, and then it will like. For me, a bird in my face, I don't want its dander in my mouth. I don't mind the wings hitting me in the face. That seems kind of cool. I don't want the dander. Is that the freak out
Dander in
thing
my
or
mouth and
scratches?
Sharp beak in my
Yeah,
eye.
peck your eyes.
Beak in your eye. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a logical fear, honestly, that it sounds like
Thanks.
horrible.
Okay, so what
Horrible.
happened in the story?
But let me just poke a hole in it with my beak.
Okay.
And poke a hole in your eye of logic. Birds under duress are not going to like attack. The only way its beak would go in your eye is by mistake, and it would probably not
it.
happen because you're going to close your eyes in defense already. So it would be a really freakish accident to happen. And also, they're going to try to get the fuck away from you. They're never going to fly into you. A bird that flies in your house wants nothing to do with the thing that's moving that it doesn't recognize in the enclosure with it. It's going to go the opposite side of the room. In my experience of trying to catch birds in houses, which is one of my favorite activities, because I want to like get them to love me and trust me, and then I slowly can just take it out on my finger. It's never happened that way. I always have to put a blanket over it gently and then like carry it in the blanket. But they do not want anything to do with you. But I that being said, continue your fear. It's who cares?
Okay.
It's not like you encounter it that often. It's not like I'm like, no, you gotta get inside a room with a bird. It's like no other experience. Because some fears are like that, where you hear people are like scared to do something and you go, like people who are scared of flying. You're missing out on a lot of life by doing that. And I know you
Right.
say, no, I take the train and I can drive. You can't drive to Italy, and
No.
you can take a boat and you're not,
People
but you're
have
not going
tried.
to. You're not
I'm
going
scared
to. So
of the
you miss out.
gigantic pine cones in my neighborhood that I've mentioned before that
Oh,
will
yeah.
fall on you. The grenade-heavy
But it
pine
sounds
cones.
like
should
you're
be
aware
illegal.
of them. So you're not going to get hit. It's probably you should be scared for other people.
I'm scared that at the one day that I don't think
You let
about
down
it.
your defenses.
Yes, that's what happens. That's like Noah. She's the one day she opens the screen on her window
gotta
is the day
say-
that bird flies in.
I don't think getting hit by a pine cone that kills you instantly is the worst way to go. I think I'd put it on a list of preferable
Top
ways
10.
for me to go because
Yeah.
it's funny,
Yeah.
it's memorable.
You get a
Yeah.
crowd if you're
you will-
in public.
Yeah, I don't know about the crowd. I don't really want a lot of people to witness it. I'd like few witnesses, so I'd like the story to take on a tale of its own because there's such few witnesses. So I'd like it to become the stuff of lore,
Yeah.
and then it gets spread around, and then my death is like almost.
Maybe
'cause
someone threw it at you.
There's some people whose you only know about because they died, i.e., Eric Clapton's son. I
Mhm.
bet we wouldn't know who he is now. Maybe we would. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? It's just like some people become immortalized by their death.
Yeah.
Whoa. Like I'm trying to think of. Well, I just follow a lot of accounts on Reddit. Maybe this wouldn't come to mind for you. This kind of thought of like, oh yeah, I know that person because they died, but I have, the falling man on 9/11. Like that person's famous, even though they weren't able to identify it. The dust woman on 9/11.
Well, the
Like
falling
that
man,
picture.
the falling man on 9/11 invented the Snuggie. So he would have been remembered. That was the same
What?
guy. I'm just kidding.
Wait, the Snuggie predated 9/11 so much, and the Falling Man certainly did not survive that.
The falling man invented the Snuggie, and then he fell out at 9/11 famously.
Oh, he drew up the plans for the Snuggie, and then someone found those plans 20 years later, 15 years later.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, what
Okay.
about the guy who invented the what's that thing you ride on with the tours and he fell off?
Oh, Segway.
Yeah, the guy who invented the
Segway
Segway
man.
fell off a cliff on the Segway.
Yeah,
It's pretty funny.
that was really funny. What are other funny ways that you just go? Not funny, but like I just want it to be. Oh, Sting. I mean, Steve Irwin.
Oh yeah, that's ironic. Well, it's not ironic. It's expected. Like that's the way he was gonna go.
Yeah, it isn't ironic. You're right. It wouldn't go in that Alanis Morissette song
Yeah.
because it's ironic in the sense that like the things he attacked ended up attacking him. I guess that's ironic, but he.
It would go in the Alanis Morissette song because the Alanis Morissette song is famously not ironic at all.
No, I think those ones passed the test. Let's go through them. It's like 10,000 spoons when all you needed is a knife. Very ironic. It's like meeting the man of your dreams and then meeting his beautiful wife.
That's not ironic.
Not ironic. No, not ironic.
What about this? You're a dietitian and you die by a vending machine falling on you.
Ironic.
That's ironic.
What if you're an old man who turns 98, you win the lottery, and then you die the next day?
That's
And you
just
play the
bad
lottery
luck.
every day.
Yeah, that's
If you're a
bad
guy,
luck.
if it's ironic, if you're I think if you're 98 and then you win the lottery and then you die, that's just bad luck. It would be irony if you said, "I'm never going to play the lottery my entire life," and then on your 98th birthday, for the first time you play and you win and then you die. Maybe that's ironic.
Or if you say, yeah, the next day I'm going to quit my job and then life quits you, or made some, but if you played the lottery every day and then you win on the day right before you die, that is to me is ironic. But if it's
Poker
just like,
face.
oh, a random guy plays the lottery at 98 and he dies the next day, it's a little ironic. I don't know. Who's to be the judge of this? Certainly not me, an English major who never read a book her entire college career, but somehow got a major in English.
Wait, so talk about when you did read the book on the couch, because that's where
Oh
we
yeah,
were.
so then okay,
Oh,
thank
the
you,
book.
Noah. So I'm no birds fly in, unfortunately, and I'm reading this chapter, and Jeff Tweedy, who wrote the book How to Write One Song, and it's such a good book. It literally is talking to you like you're like you could be any level of musician and you'd get something from this. Like I felt really seen as someone who was like really scared to write a song. And anyway, I had read half of it, but I didn't finish it because I wasn't ready to write a song and I didn't want to fail the book. So that was ages ago. So I picked it up and just went to a chapter that I hadn't read yet. And it was about how sometimes you'll write lyrics I'm reading and then he says, sometimes I write a lyric that will make me cry. And it doesn't happen that often, but sometimes I figure out how I feel about something while I'm writing it. And he was like, and those are the moments that make me want to write this book because I want everyone to have that feeling, because I feel like, yeah, if you're not an artist, in that way, like I've never cried at a joke I wrote because I was like, oh my God, I do love them, or what, and I will miss them when they're dead. Like no joke has ever made me like feel my feelings really. It's,
But it
if
makes
anything,
you
it's
laugh.
like push them away. Because
Sometimes
then
you
if I
write a
laugh
joke
at
and
it,
it makes you laugh.
yeah, that's
And
a feeling, I guess.
That's how you know it's a good joke, or that at least you like it.
Yeah, or anger. It makes the anger that I have about the subject is funny
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
get then being angry, as Brian and I both partake in. When we get angrier, people tend to laugh harder,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
That's been the hardest thing for me, is to recognize, like, you get so caught up in the fucking algorithm and what does the fucking algorithm want, that you lose sight of the fact that if it makes you laugh, if it makes you feel something, then it's worth putting out there. It's a difficult thing to remember.
I know that's the hard one. Is like, but sometimes I don't know. I don't laugh at everything I do, but I think I see other people laugh at it, and I go, "Oh, there's some value here." Like I do trust other people know what's funny, and I don't sometimes, because there's sometimes where I'm like, I don't like that joke at all, but people laugh, and I keep doing it,
yeah.
even though it doesn't make me laugh. I'm like, it's obviously clicking for people, and I did think of it, so there's some part of me that did think it was funny and initially.
No,
But
that's
yeah.
true too. Sometimes that happens where I'm like, you think this is funny? And
Yeah.
it's like, I guess it's my best joke now. I don't know.
Well, sometimes they laugh and you don't know you're being funny. Like I will say something and I'll literally well, what? Why'd you guys all laugh? And they'll all laugh in a way that it's like one of my like a closer. I'm like it's like I had control over them to do that. The kind of laugh where you're like, boom, I know this, and they all light up. It's like that kind of laugh, and you're like, what the fuck did I just reveal about myself?
Yeah,
that resonated. Why was that funny? And sometimes I can catch it, but I'm so bad at going back and listening to myself. Like this weekend, I was riffing, and I was like, I said,
Yes.
I had a really fun riff. And
what is it?
I'll share it. And well, I had two. I had Grand Rapids was so fun. I was riff central, and I was like, oh my god, this is like. I mean, I just don't riff on stage that much, so anything new will always kill. I actually have to experiment with it more, but it just felt like the idea of it being new was so fun, and the way I was excited to tell it. It's a joke about scratching your dog and like when you scratch your dog. I think I've talked about it on the podcast maybe, and it looks like you're making them come. Like when they get that, like their tails, their foot starts shaking, and they're like, it's just like. We're just all as a family gathered around being like, look at her come. Like that's it's just kind of weird that we do that because there's no difference, truly no difference. So I was working that out, and then I had some other thoughts about stuff that are really fun. But then I had this riff that I had not planned the next night about, I just, for some reason in the middle of telling a joke about, I was talking about getting cummed in, of course. Naturally. I was talking about how it feels good to get cummed in. It like literally does feel good. It feels satisfying in some way that most men will never understand. But it does feel good, and it's less cleanup. And I was talking about that. If you stay horizontal, you don't have to clean it up till the morning. And I was like, you'll have a raging UTI, but you will have, staved off having to clean up. Yeah, you get to go to sleep. But then I just stopped and I was like, wait, does everyone here know that if you don't pee after sex, you have like an 80% chance of getting a UTI? Like a woman has to.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's at a certain age, but for me, that is like, I would never skip peeing after sex ever, ever, ever. Because it is just too risky. Noah, do you agree with me on this?
I agree with you, but from personal experience, I have not gotten a UTI.
Because you pee after sex.
Because I did not pee after sex. I just wanted to go to sleep.
And you did not get an UTI?
No, but I've only gotten...
You might be in that 20%. That's what I'm talking about. It's
I've only gotten one UTI my whole life.
I never got them, and I had friends that would get them chronically, and then I was really proud of myself. Like, I must be a better woman. My pH balance must be like on point. Because it's kind of yeasty, I think, when you get a UTI. It's just a bacterial infection. Anyway,
It hurts when you
not
pee,
better
and you get
than
little
other women.
clots.
Something happens that makes you feel
Yeah.
like you have to go pee. Ladies, it will happen to you at some point. You will go, what is this? I have to pee, but I can't pee. And I maybe have to shit too. And it all feels clogged up and feels dirty down there. And there might be an odor. And you're just like, what the fuck? It's a UTI. And you have to go to fucking urgent care because there's nothing over the counter. So what it does is just inconvenience your fucking life because you got to go to urgent care. You got to sign up and you got to watch what number you are on the urgent care so you can show up right before. Azo doesn't do shit. Once it's locked in, it's in.
It reduces your symptoms, I've heard.
Okay, I understand that, but it's not going to treat it. Like once you have a bacterial infection, that's just going to like, you have to go to the urgent care at some point.
You want to know
have
what's
a doctor
ironic
friend.
For me, my UTI, the only one that I got when I was like 13 or 14 was because of antibiotics. Is that ironic?
Wow.
Yeah, that's ironic. That's in the song. That's in the song.
That is. Put it in the song. Let's call Alanis. But I just was like, dude, does everyone here know that we have to do that? And I guess men might have to do it as well, but women, we're really there's too much mixing around down there, and you got to flush it out right after you have sex to get all the mouth stuff. There's fingers and mouths, and just get it out of that urethra. Hamster.
That's fun.
And then, not for the hamster. But I said, unless you have a partner who you can pee on during sex, and then then you get it out. I mean, you maybe have a little, but like, or something about like, oh no, I said that It was a riff about, that's why I date guys that like to pee on me, because it reminds me to pee afterwards. They're peeing in my mouth so they can come, and I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta remember to pee after this. Like, I like the idea of a girl having something heinous done to her, and she's like, oh, thanks for the reminder. It made me laugh a lot. And it didn't even do that well, but it was so funny to me that I was like, someone write that down. It's just like, well, what an artist. Someone write down a guy peeing in your mouth reminds you to pee after sex.
Yeah.
And I said that out loud inside a theater that's mainly meant for orchestral performances, because I'm an artist. Okay, let's go to break. Come see us this weekend in Cincinnati and in Gary, Indiana. That's Friday night and Saturday night. Gary first, and then Cincinnati. Going to be great shows, and then a bunch of tour dates coming up this summer. Just announced. Just go to nikkiglaser.com and you can check those tour dates and come see me. The shows have been so fun. It's gonna be a big fun summer of touring. So I want you to be a part of it, besties, and I will see you there, and we'll be back after this. All right, we're back. So before the show began, Brian and I were chit-chatting about, what did you say, shadow people?
Oh yeah, well, shadow people. We got into the ghost for a second there.
Ghosts,
and then,
yeah.
And then I said, well, we were talking about
your
my
can I
mom's
say?
surgery. Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom had to get eyelid surgery so she could see better.
Yes, so she got like a blepharoplasty, which is what I've probably determined she got. It's just like where they take skin out of your eyelids because they get so droopy. But his mom could not see because her eyelids were being pressed down by all the skin and gravity and age, and that is wild. So she had to do it just so she could see better.
Yeah, and I didn't even notice. I couldn't even tell.
And Brian didn't notice.
And she looks.
Well, you don't. To be fair, you don't look people in the eyes.
Yeah, not really. No.
I mean, I kind of don't either. So I look at people's mouths a lot and their shoulder and stuff.
I look away when I'm in a deep conversation with someone. I look away.
I guess I noticed that about you, but I think I might as well. Or I probably do. If you look away, I probably take it as a sign. I shouldn't be just staring at this person's eyes. So like I naturally look away, but it wouldn't be. I don't. Yeah, but that's probably why you didn't notice.
Sometimes I'm making eye contact with somebody while I'm talking to them, and I feel like I'm being rude.
Oh,
like does this person want me to be drilling into their face right now?
Well, they can always look away, and then you can know.
But you can't, because then you lose the battle.
Well, then yes, that person should feel threatened.
That person's
you're
a beta.
In battle with them.
You're a beta. If you look away.
I like how you say, me staring at this person, isn't this rude? And oh, Brian, just look away. Well, then I would lose the battle. Yeah, you're engaging in battle with someone who doesn't know they're in battle. That is rude.
I'm like,
if that's what you think it
excuse me, do you have any whole wheat bread? And then they look away because they work at Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
And I say, well, you're a cuck.
Yeah, I hate eye contact. Can be so
it's
it
intense.
Can be too much, dude. I can't.
I really can't do it for very long. I really like.
No, I think I'm the same way. I feel seen, and I start to feel like I'm falling in love, and I don't want to do that with my optometrist. But that's when you look like in their eye. Their eye is looking in your eye, like 2 inches from your eye. I mean, you can't see it, so it doesn't feel as intense, but there's a vibe.
Sometimes I wish I was in
dark.
Japan, because in Japan, you're not supposed to look people in the eye. It's deferent. You have to show deference.
Oh, that's interesting. I don't think I knew that about.
I don't even think I know that. It's just maybe I'm making it up. But I do remember. I think it's a thing.
Okay. Well, we were talking about his mom probably not being able to see. I'm like, oh my God, now she can see a whole new world. And I was like, what's something on your periphery that like you could go through life if you didn't have peripheral vision? You just like wouldn't know it's there. And Brian said ghosts.
Yeah.
And I love that ghosts just hang like right here. And
but they do. They're called.
And if you're fast enough, you can catch them.
There's a specific type of ghost called shadow people. And they come from,
there's a peripheral ghost and it's called shadow people?
Yeah, that you can only see them in your periphery, and they're not really ghosts, they're like interdimensional beings. And a lot of people claim that they see them in their periphery, and we don't really know where they came from or what they are, but they can only be seen in that way.
I feel bad for people who truly believe these things are going on, because if they are true, it's so annoying that no one believes you.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it sounds crazy, but you feel it's so real that you can't, like, what would you do if you believed something insane and no one else believed it? Like it would suck. But that I was listening to the beginning of a podcast about alien abductions and how they started in 1940 something, maybe into the 60s, around there within those 2 decades. And then they kind of stopped in like right with the advent of the smartphone. So like reports of alien abduction just like went away when people started being able to like film stuff. And I don't know the connection there, but that's what the hosts kind of surmised from the timeline. Is maybe smartphones made it go away, but it was something that people didn't claim to have happened to them until they heard stories of other people doing it. So there's a big famous story about an alien abduction, and then all of a sudden everyone's like, "I was abducted." But also maybe they didn't know what happened to them until they heard someone else did, and then that made them come forward. Who knows?
There was also a lot.
This?
There's
Obviously you
also
do.
trending different types of aliens abducting people. Like in the 70s, there were a lot of aliens who were obsessed with preventing the world from being destroyed in a nuclear apocalypse. Which all like that makes
Because the
sense.
70s were about
It's Cold
that?
War. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of the aliens in the 70s were these Nordic, beautiful white men and women who would come down. Instead of looking like the typical gray extraterrestrials, they were like humanoid. They were called Nordics. And that was a lot of the 70s. And they'd come down and they'd fuck you and you'd fuck them and everything would be great. And they'd say, by the way, we got to stop Gorbachev.
in the middle of a alien gangbang.
Yes.
Wait a second. So they would fuck you. So what happened to where are the ones that have heads like guitar picks?
Yeah, those are.
When did those come in?
Those are grays. Those were the OGs.
Grays.
I have a theory about the gray aliens, and that is when I think people who say they were abducted by gray
Before
aliens.
you begin, can you just give your let besties know that you are very knowledgeable about this subject and why?
Oh yeah, well I had a podcast called The Unbelievable Podcast from 2011 to 2018. That was all
7
about
years.
Yeah.
Tim Dillon was a co-host,
for
a
the,
psychic.
for 1 year he was the co-host. No, it was a long time. It was pretty popular, but ultimately we stopped because it was a lot of work for me. It was a lot of research, a lot of clip getting, and I was just like, I can't spend 20 hours a week doing
Jesus.
research for this podcast. Even though I loved the podcast and I loved all the unbelievers were the names of our listeners.
Cool. Yeah, so you would
kinda
research this shit.
I missed the podcast boom. Like I stopped it in 2018, and then I wonder what would have happened if I kept going through COVID. At the same time, I'm glad I stopped when I did, because I stopped pretty much when conspiracy theories started getting not fun anymore.
Oh.
Like they were just all racist. It was just like there was nothing. It was no longer like, is Bigfoot real? It was more like, are the Jews behind
You're
the...
right. That did take off. Let's get back to the Nordic aliens fucking us.
Yes,
and away
exactly.
from pedophiles and pizza joints.
So my theory about gray aliens is I believe that is a psychological phenomenon of people re-experiencing their trauma, perhaps in a lucid sleep state, or just having a PTSD style traumatic re-experiencing a trauma. And a lot of the trauma comes from childhood when you're a baby. Perhaps I believe a lot of people who claim that they were abducted by gray aliens are re-experiencing a molestation from when they were when they were maybe even a baby or a kid.
Dude.
And the reason why and that's why a lot of aliens will do anal probing. They'll take you up into their ship. You'll be strapped down.
It's
you
all
can't do
making
anything.
sense.
They're touching
Yeah.
you. And the reason why gray aliens look like they do is because when you're a baby and your
That's what things look like.
perception, yeah, it's just a gray
no
fuzzy
color.
thing, big black eyes. This is just what a baby perceives a person
Oh
to
my
be.
God, Brian, this is probably a pretty good theory. I like it.
Yeah, so I believe all the people that are certain that they have been abducted by gray aliens, a lot of them are probably just reliving their molestation trauma from childhood. I'm not saying it's all of them. There's also a lot of them who just want to make money or just want attention. But the reason I think that's why I think it's a real phenomenon. I think that the people who are thinking that they were abducted by gray aliens actually do see that and believe it and believe it's happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's just like some of the psychosomatic pains. It's like your
Exactly.
brain
It
is
doesn't
just
mean it
making
didn't
that up.
happen to you because you're experiencing it like it did. So I'm not taking that away from you, that it was terrifying and that you literally think you were abducted by aliens and you feel, but it might not be that. But that doesn't take anything from your experience. Yeah, I mean, people don't like to feel like they're crazy. People think they're crazy but it's crazy is like, it's not your fault. Your brain's just doing something weird to help you cope. Potentially, if your theory
It's not
is
weird.
correct.
It's protective, I think.
Yeah. To make it feel like it's so you don't have to think it's your dad or your uncle or whatever.
Or maybe to help you make sense of it for closure.
Or it truly is like a disorder. Like if you're just hearing voices in your head and you say that it's Satan talking to you, like you need to get like medicated for that.
That's why I asked you if you knew about gang stalking. And
No,
it's like,
yeah, what's that?
really
Yeah,
creeped me out. I found it through Reddit, and someone just had commented in another Reddit like, sounds like gang stalking, and I like went to the subreddit, and it's for people who feel let me just read it. Gang stalking or group stalking is a set of persecutory beliefs, in which those affected believe they are being followed, stalked, and harassed by a large number of people. The term is associated with targeted individual, TI.
Oh boy.
Do you know what that is?
The rapper?
Atlanta-based rapper T.I.
Oh. You can stalk whatever you like. The
You can
concept of
stalk whatever you
stalking. Okay, so online communities. Yeah. A 2016 New York Times article estimated that more than 10,000 people were participating in online communities organized around the conviction that its members are victims of a sprawling conspiracy to harass thousands of everyday Americans with mind control weapons and armies of so-called gang stalkers. So if you go to the gang stalker subreddit, it's just people's being like, people are following me, and this is what happened to me today. And the guy in the striped shirt was like, it's just people feeling like they're being Truman Showed a little bit, but also harassed and like really fucked with. And
Is that different from paranoid schizophrenia?
That's what people think it is like people suffering with that, or people suffering from drug like symptoms, like meth symptoms, or sleeplessness, or just yeah, it's just, but they all agree, and it's kind of cute that they all have this community where they do believe that their whole life is being monitored and they're being stalked, and it's like, it's nice that they have a way to connect. It's like Orange Theory. It's like a community. It builds community for that you're chasing, or you're being chased. I mean, I guess you're chasing goals in Orange Theory. But yeah, it's just like, I sometimes like whenever gang stalking comes up on Reddit, because people make fun of it, in the comments. I always go and check out what they're talking about. And then sometimes I get a little scared because they sometimes like, it would be terrifying to live this way. So I have empathy for them. I'm not like just making fun of them. I feel like really sad that would be horrible to think that your life was Truman Show.
Yeah,
but I've had people friends with bipolar, believe some wild stuff, and I guess I've believed some wild stuff in my mental illness journey along the way. That I'm just like, what were you thinking?
Yeah.
But I always felt like I had a control over it. I never felt out of control of my mind or body too much, except when I drank, maybe, and that's why I quit doing that. Because that's truly insane that we get blackout drunk and we just send our blackout selves. It's like it's that show where they send a toddler out to get groceries, the Japanese show.
Oh, wow.
That's what you do when you get, it's called like, I forget, it was a hit on Netflix for a bit, but they send like a 3-year-old and they monitor it closely, but it just like goes out to do a task into the city. And they just follow it.
Wow.
That's what you do when you get blackout drunk. You just are like, all right, let's just see what happens. I loved it. I loved it so much. Why did I like it? See, that's fucked up that I liked it.
Yeah, like how do you even? I mean,
you
you
like
can't remember
the loss
anything.
of control?
Oh, I would just say to my friends, let's get blackout. Like, I liked blacking out so much.
So you did you like the journey to blackout, or did you
Yes.
like knowing that you are blacked out?
I guess I liked the journey to blacking out because it would always just involve like dancing and being loud and like confident. And like just happy, literally just happy, like excited about life, no worries. And then the blacking out part, I guess, was just, I liked that because it was risky. I guess the risky.
Oh, the
it was
risk.
risky. There's a little part of it when I'm going back and remembering like, okay, we're gonna get blackout tonight. It was a little bit like shoplifting. Like, I'll get away with it. I'll probably survive. and get through, but it's not gonna. It's gonna feel. It's risky. Like, will you? What's gonna happen tonight? What are you gonna? Where are you gonna end up? When your eyes open tomorrow? Where will you be? You don't know. You're just sending yourself out blindly.
Did you have a friend who would bring you home? I mean, how did you get home?
Blackout. I would say let's get blackout, meaning everyone black out tonight. You never drank like that, Noah?
I did, but I always knew who was going to drive me home.
Good for you.
Even though
I was in New York City, though. It was like, we'll just take a cab or something. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yes. I have been in a cab, but like, I guess when you're at the end of the night, when you're blackout and you're in a cab with a stranger, something like works extra in your brain. Like you can't fall asleep. You have to make sure you get home.
Yeah. But it feels like at some point when you're so drunk, there's nothing that there's no saving you. Like I love John Mulaney's joke about how he would black out. I really related to it, and I loved that he wrote it because I felt so alone with this. But I would black out after like 3 beers.
Oh,
because my body but I knew what was happening because I had heard the Mulaney joke before this started happening to me. This is after drinking for years, but I would take like a couple beers but he said his doctor said, he's like, why do I black out after a couple drinks? And his doctor said, because your body like knows where this is going. It like never doesn't go that way. So it's like they're shutting down early.
Oh shit.
And I was like, oh my God, like lights out. Like, let's just shut it. Like, we know we're closing. No more customers are coming in. Let's just shut it down. And so I really related to that. And that's kind of helped me know I had a problem. Comedy can heal you.
I used to do that at the deli that I worked at. I worked at a deli when I was for a long time. And sometimes it would be like the deli's closing at 9 and I would lock the door at like 7:30 and turn off the lights. And then people would come up and they'd be so mad because they're like, what the fuck? It's not even.
People don't know that small businesses, like they can set their own hours. There's no law that makes it so they have to be open. But when you are a customer, you just feel like you said you would be.
Yeah.
It's just like,
well, to be fair, the owner of the deli wanted it to be open.
But I mean, let's just say you're a man who owns the deli and you wanted to close early that night.
Yeah.
That
happens in small towns. Like you own the deli, but you're also the fire marshal, and it's like, well, I gotta close down the deli to go.
But it is so enraging when you are a person who is going to a restaurant or something, or like you just feel so entitled. Like, but Google said, and it's like, what entitles you to this business right now? It's like, it's so gang stalking, that is a interesting subreddit and really opened my eyes to a world I didn't know. And so did I'm just opening my eyes to so many new subcultures. Orange Theory, I mean, I feel bad that I felt like I would badmouth them in some way or made fun of them yesterday. I want to be clear, like I even I told my Pilates instructor about going to Orange Theory, and she was like, oh, I thought you were gonna love it. She was like, I love it. So it's something that Pilates instructors do love, ones that are, so I'm not making fun. It's not a bad workout. It actually is good. It just wasn't for me because I just, I don't need that. It's too loud. The music's too loud and the guy talking is too loud. And I'm a little sensitive sound bitch lately. If I went back, I would wear earplugs.
Yeah.
But
what's been loud lately that I really am mad at is the airplane speakers. Like when why is that so loud and piercing?
Thank you.
Good point.
It's 1 out of 10 is truly causing damage to people's eardrums.
Yeah.
If they are within 5 feet of that thing. Like the people seated closest to the speakers are in hell. It's not okay. And you are such an asshole for talking way more than you need to. I've been saying it for years, but no one needs to know the speed of the wind in the city you're landing in. No one's ever been interested in that. Unless it's like 60-mile-an-hour winds, we don't give a shit that or what direction the wind is coming from.
Yeah.
Why do we have that information? Why don't you tell us where we can pick up an Uber when we get in, because there are no signs that I feel so bad for anyone who's like sending their parents to a new city to figure out where the ride share is to get their Uber X. I am an experienced Uber finder, and airports leave you high and dry. There's no one around. There's no one to ask for help. If there's anyone working in a baggage claim, it's these two ladies that are trying to get you to go Mormon. There's no like help desk. There isn't. Or you have to talk to anyone, you have to go into one of the offices and there's already people lined up because they're back. There's just no one around. And it is so hard to find. If you are in charge of the layout of an airport, did you all get together and decide that we are going to make so few signs about it? We don't want them to find it. What is in it for you to not have people find the Uber?
Well,
What's in it
LAX
for
is
you?
the worst
I need to
one.
know.
Can you imagine in LAX? It just says LA exit, which isn't a word.
It's
Can you
such
imagine
bullshit that they tried to brand it and make a special exit. That makes no sense.
Can you imagine you're from a foreign country and you land in LAX and you're trying to find an Uber or a way to get around? LA exit is not even something that you could look up what it means.
It's so fucking confusing. I'm not kidding you. Like, I just get sad when I struggle to find these ride shares. I always just think about my mom landing in a city by herself for like a girls' trip or something, and how it would add like an hour to her already struggling day where she's carrying a bag. Like, make it easy for old people, you assholes. Make more signs. Be more explicit. So yeah. Why doesn't the pilot talk about where that?
No,
why doesn't he share that information?
That's so funny. He gives you He's just like, the winds are going to be 60 miles per hour. The city was founded in 1870.
And guess what? None of it is ever
The river is flowing at 3 miles an hour.
But I'm not kidding you. Have you ever not heard the wind speed of the city you're about to land in?
No, they always tell me the wind speed. And
Why?
I go, oh,
why?
Looks like my catamaran's not going to happen this weekend.
Have you ever like even thought about like when they say that, does it make your mind do anything? Mine, it just goes, it flushes right away. It's like when you flush and you poop and you flush, and so it never even sits in the bowl. It just goes right down.
Auto flush, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, you don't even have to flush sometimes.
Or like it just goes as you're flushing.
Like
you flush.
Splish splash.
That's
like a
what
water
that information
slide.
does. Through it never even touches the bowl for me. It's worthless. I'm sick of it, and it's too loud.
Yeah.
You're too loud. And I know I got loud on this rant too, but I did try to move the mic away from my face while I was screaming, which pilots, man, some of you like to be heard, and some of you flight attendants like to be heard. And sometimes I'm in the mood for it. Sometimes I like a little joke, but most of the time I'm not. But I just turn up my airplane noise. It's none of my business. I like that they're trying to be cheery, but if they're a little bit cunty with that cheeriness, I don't care for that.
Nah.
That is really like annoying to me. If you're trying to be funny, but you're just being mean.
Cunty cheeriness? They're trying to force their cheeriness on you, and it's like, I'm in the middle of a flight now.
It's not cheery though. It's it's saying mean things and being like, and you know, what's an example? I kind of like the one where they're like, we will take we will find your AirPods and they will be on eBay by the end of the day. Like, I don't like that.
It's like a teacher. That's like a.
It's just when they get kind of, when you can sense we've all had teachers like this, teachers that would be funny about stuff that they need to tell us, and teachers that would be funny, but it's cruel and they hate you. And there's a simmering hatred for you. You're not masking it as well as you think you are. Women and men who get snarky, funny on planes. Women.
Well, leave men out of it.
It feels feminine to me. Whatever it is, it is a feminine thing of like being, because guess what? I got it in me too. I love being mean with jokes, but it's not the funniest you can be, and it's not pleasant. But I do love being vindictive with jokes, so I get it too.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a flight attendant in my soul. All right, we have to take a break, and we'll be right back after this. And we're back. Do you have a rant, Brian?
Rant part 2.
Yeah, let's go.
Enough with the credit card offers for 30 minutes at the end of the flights. Can we stop? And I'm not really even mad at the people at the person making the announcement. I know they have to do it for work. I'm not mad at the corporations for trying to offer you credit cards. I'm mad at the fucking people who take the pamphlets. There's people that
don't take those.
I see people.
They must though, because they've been doing it for years, and they wouldn't do something for years if it didn't work. People must be taking these pamphlets. Well, these people want these miles.
Well, can't you just get a credit card somewhere at some other time? Sometimes I'm even a little bit like, maybe I should get that credit card.
You guys, let's all agree to not take those pamphlets anymore. To send a message that we'll do it on our own time, because they'll stop if they're not getting sales from that. But actually, they might still take it as a sale because they might track that person who got that credit card the next day was on a flight before and heard the pitch.
It's just free advertising. You're a whole
Dude, it is. And the fact that they
capitalism
make
is a
them do
battle
it
for
is,
your attention, and any time that they can get your attention, they will insert an ad.
you're not even kidding. Like, I'm kind of surprised we're not getting, like, there's not an airline that just plays ads the whole time and it's like $10.
Oh yeah,
I
Spirit's
bet
about
you
to
it's
do that.
coming.
Yeah, you
I
can
just came up
spend
with a
$20
great
extra
idea because
dollars
I
to not
bet
have
people
ads.
would take a $50 flight and watch ads the whole time.
Wait a minute. I mean, you do get ads when you're watching the videos, even on the
Yeah.
apps.
You can
there's
opt out of watching the videos. In this flight, you have to. Your eyes are kept open,
Yeah, it's like the opposite of a conversation.
and you're marketed things for people like you who are willing
Cheap
to put up
pieces of
with.
shit.
No, poor people that
Yeah.
have to do this. It's mind. It will be mind control.
Yeah.
That will be gang stalking.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can't imagine people like I signed up for Disney Plus so I could watch Era's tour, and I sign up for I'm lucky enough to be able to afford premium versions of things where I don't have to watch ads on these streaming. And when I see an ad, I get like if Anya pulls up something on her phone and I have to watch a ad before we watch a YouTube video together, I just go like send it to me.
Friendship
Like
over.
I won't do this. But it's so disrespectful that they're like, if you can afford it, you don't have to watch this slop. But if you can't, we're going to sell you a bunch of more shit so you'll be even more poor. So then you can't, then you'll have to get the version that has 6 ads instead of 3 because you're going to buy so much shit. You're going to be even poorer. It's like, why? That's cruel to make people pay so that they don't have to suffer. Like, I don't know what the solution is though.
Am I crazy? But back in the day when cable first came out, wasn't it commercial free?
I think that was maybe like the draw of, I can't, my dad would know because he started in the cable industry when the cable industry started in 1983. I think my dad started and worked until 2013 in the cable industry. So he would know, but I think HBO certainly is and was. HBO only has ads for HBO shows, which I like.
And there's like it's like trailers. That's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. But no one watches HBO Live anymore. And do you want to know how I know? Because my special, Good Clean Filth, was on HBO the other night on TV. I got not one DM about, I didn't get any more new follows. I mean, I didn't check follows because I don't really know what that is, but like, or how to check that really, unless you're paying close to the number. But I didn't get any like DMs about it. I didn't get any like mentions of people putting it on their story. Like usually if my special is airing, people don't care. People aren't watching. The only time you would watch HBO as it's like just airing is if you're my parents and you have Good Clean Filth already programmed into your system so that it will alert you when it's on. Or you're at a hotel and you just got in and you haven't had time to put your streaming stuff in.
Sure.
And you just want to eat your Thai food because you landed late and it's cold and you just go, okay, I'll just see what's on. And you put on Fox because they always have some fun game shows. You watch Beat Bobby Flay. He's on constantly, and that's a really good show to watch. But can I say that my favorite shows, if I'm just turning on the TV, I'm going to go to Fox, and if I'll watch late night. But usually when I land, it's like or like get back to on like a Friday night from a show. Late night shows haven't started yet. I want to go to bed, and it's I will check out what Fox is showing because there's usually like a song about like or like a show about guessing celebrities singing or something. Beat Bobby Flay, and then what's the other, like a movie that I haven't seen yet, which guess what I have not seen, and this is criminal.
Okra, or no, that's not a movie.
Okra.
What?
I have not seen that. Well, no, I have not seen that. This is a movie that This is one of the classic comedies of my era, of my generation. No, of my generation. I'm not 60.
Clueless.
Some Like It Hot.
Great guess, Noah. You are on the right track. It is later
Legally
than
Blonde.
that. It's when I had already been doing comedy. We're talking
Miss
early
Congeniality.
2000s. No, I have not seen Miss Congeniality, but that's not the right answer. And I have also not seen Sweet Home Alabama or Legally Blonde, which I know is going to blow people's minds. But I don't really care about hot women being like, I know they're funny. It just didn't appeal to me, and I don't know why it still doesn't. I'm sorry. But this one is like
Superbad.
men can't believe.
Super bad.
No, Superbad's amazing. I went on a date
Anchorman.
to see Superbad.
American
Anchorman,
Pie.
amazing. But in
Okay.
that, it's right with Anchorman in terms of importance to people.
Okay.
Oh wow.
And it's not old school, but it's right there too.
Euro trip.
No, I don't know if I've seen Euro Trip, but I
40-year-old
don't.
virgin.
No, but that's a
Oh,
great guess.
good
40-year-old
guess.
virgin is a good guess. I did see that. I loved it.
Dude, where's my car?
Loved that movie.
American Pie.
No, amazing. But we're talking later, and we're talking. Okay, we're let's.
Harold and Kumar.
No, I did see Harold and Kumar. Wasn't a huge fan, but definitely a classic. You need to see Road Trip, also a classic early comedy. This is going to be
Jurassic Park.
Okay, Will Ferrell has a cameo that's one of the greatest things ever.
Oh, old.
Dodgeball. No,
Old
that's
Boys?
Not
not.
old school, not dodgeball.
old school.
Anchorman. Will Ferrell cameo?
Yeah,
That's the greatest thing ever?
I didn't know about it. I may have talked about it on the
The
podcast.
Lego movie?
I literally saw a clip of this, and I go, I've never seen this Will Ferrell scene. He's sitting on a couch, and he's like eating cereal in a robe. It was what I'm remembering, but maybe that's not it. And Vince Vaughn is Owen Wilson.
Wedding
Now I'm giving it-
Crashers.
Wedding Crashers.
Ah.
I've never seen, and I think it would probably be one of my favorite movies.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a scene with Will Ferrell in it that's, I have to say, it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know
Well,
what I'm talking about? That scene?
No. I
Wait,
guess
have
I
you
don't.
seen Wedding Crashers?
Definitely. But I guess I don't remember the scene for some
Really?
reason.
He's like calling to his mama. He lives with his mom, and he's talking about he's like the original, the guy that goes to weddings and crashes
Oh,
them.
okay. Yeah.
He's kind of like Jerry O'Connell's role in Can't Hardly Wait, where he's
Mm.
like the old guy that comes back and he's like, yeah, I used to do
Mhm.
this. I used to be the coolest guy on campus.
Right.
Remember that scene? That
Yeah.
was so good. Can't Hardly Wait's the best fucking movie.
You know what I
so-
watched on a plane? The Holdovers. Did
Oh
you
yeah,
see
I've
that?
seen it. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's talk
what
about
did
it.
What did you think of the Holdovers?
What is that? I haven't heard of it.
It's Paul Giamatti plays a teacher at a private boys' school that's kind of like a what is it called when you send your kids away and you get them out of
Boarding
there?
school.
Boarding school, thank you.
A
In the
curmudgeonly
60s.
teacher from a boarding school who's
with a lazy eye.
with a lazy eye who is stuck taking care of several kids who are not able to go home for the holidays with their family.
And he's just a stinky curmudgeon professor who smells because he has an actual body condition that makes him stinky. So
Mm-hmm.
he's just like unattractive and like he has a weird eye going one way and he's just
Mm-hmm.
not, and he's bitter about life and he's bitter about his place in life and he could have been more and all these things. He
Yeah.
could have been an author and he's
But what
stuck.
about the character? You're just describing Paul Giamatti.
That's so funny. So he did have to wear a weird eye, and I'm like, he could have just been him. It doesn't, like his eyes are already doing something fun. But
Something fun.
They
That would be
are.
great. That's like a mom or something that with their kid. Your eyes are just doing something fun.
honestly, it is fun because it makes him who he is to watch. Like,
Yeah, I love Paul
And I've been
Giamatti.
horny for Paul Giamatti, especially in that Amy Schumer sketch where they like make out. I've been like, oh my god, he's hot. So I don't feel bad saying that about him because I actually am attracted to him. So, but anyway, in this movie, he plays this professor, and then he has to stay with the kids who don't get to go home for the holidays because their parents suck or alcoholics or have abandoned them or are just like, mom's got a new husband, so she's going away to the Bahamas. And so all these kids get stuck at this boarding school over Christmas break. They have no school and the heat shut down and Paul Giamatti has to watch them. And hilarity ensues. No, it's not hilarious. It's cute. He's amazing. Paul Giamatti's great. The boy's great, even though he's way too old for the role, but it worked. There's one scene later on that was maybe a pickup that they did after he had, filed
Had a growth
for
spurt.
AARP. No, he really, yeah. It
What
was,
scene
he
was
looked a
this?
lot in the parking lot at the end. I guess it was just the
Oh.
end.
Yeah.
And he looked a lot older because all of a sudden the lighting, you could see like fine lines on his face.
Yeah.
Not wrinkles, but like, he's older than.
And he was like
what,
driving
18?
a rental car.
What?
He
Oh
was-
yeah, you can't do that till you're 25, bro. Okay, so it was good. Yeah, but Best Picture nominee? No way.
I mean,
What are we
I
doing- what are we
really
talking
loved
about?
it. I don't know what a best picture should be these days, but
I
I
don't
loved
either.
it.
So maybe that's
I thought it reminded me of Good Will Hunting, and I love Good Will Hunting, and that's why I was like, oh, Good Will Hunting just 20 years later.
It didn't seem as like raw as Good Will Hunting. It
Maybe
seemed
not
a
quite
little
as
bit more.
raw.
There's like a sheen to it. Of
But it
like
was like a
cutesy.
New England school mentor-mentee.
Dead Poet Society was my favorite. That's on the if we're going Dead Poet Society is the most fucked up, then Good Will Hunting, then Holdovers. Holdovers
in
is
terms of
lighter
fucked
than those
upness.
two.
Yeah, I didn't like Dead Poet Society as much as Good Will
Oh,
Hunting.
I loved it so much. I haven't watched it in years, but I remember seeing it in high school and declaring it. It is my favorite film. I like loved it. I was like obsessed with it in high school, and it was really old by that time anyway. But I just loved that the ending was not happy.
And then that's
Final thought.
the guy from House, right? He was the guy from House. Not not Hugh Laurie, but the
I don't
Hugh
know anyone
Laurie's
else
boss.
from House, but I do know all the other people in that movie. Ethan Hawke was in it.
The main character, the main boy in
the
Dead
main
Poet
boy?
Society was in House.
Oh, I didn't know that. I actually haven't seen him as an adult. I know that one of the boys was so cute, and he ended up being the guy that was on Newswork. No, off the Aaron Sorkin thing about a newsroom.
Uh-huh.
Newsroom, and then he's on something else too. Maybe The Good Wife. I don't know. He's great though. He's in a Schumer sketch as well. One of my favorite ones where
Is it
they
Josh
are.
Charles?
It's Josh Charles. Oh my god, I had the biggest crush on Josh Charles.
Me too.
But it's, why is he so hot? Because it's kind of unassuming. I loved him.
I don't know, but
You know,
I
what
had
he kind
feelings
of
for
has a
him as a
vibe of
child.
another guy that didn't get a lot of like girls being swoony over who they should have been swoony over. Steve Zahn.
Don't mess with his on.
Do you know who I'm talking about, Brian? Noah's gonna find out in a second.
Steve Zahn.
Zahn.
oh yeah,
Okay, so Steve Zahn was in That
yeah.
Thing You Do. He was like the goofy drummer,
Yes.
I guess. No, he was the bassist. I don't know what he was. And
Daddy
what else has he been
Daycare.
in? Okay.
Joyride. Diary
See, I
of a
don't know him
Wimpy
from
Kid.
these things. What? Will you go back further?
Saving
because,
Silverman.
No,
that
War
thing
for
you do?
the Planet of the Apes.
no.
That
Go
Thing
back
You
further.
Do.
What do I? Yeah, That Thing You Do. Go before that. And what was he in before that?
Strange Wilderness.
No, I don't
You've
know.
got
You've
mail.
Got
He was in
Mail.
You've Got Mail.
You've got
Oh,
mail. That's what it is.
God. Yes.
That's what it is.
He was
She
the
loves that
guy in the
movie.
bookshop that worked with Meg Ryan, who was like so adorable. Oh God, there were some '90s guys that played that kind of character. The other one was Jerry Maguire, the Manny. He was the nanny that was the man. I was very attracted to him as well in the '90s.
Yeah.
Oh, but That Thing You Do is one of the best movies of all time. Like, I don't know if it's best picture worthy, but it is the most watchable fucking thing. Tom Hanks kills it. Tom Scott Everett kills it.
And that's
He
where
played-
that song's from?
Yeah, and they
That's
don't
crazy.
even just have that song. They even have so many songs in that movie that are so
That
good.
song is so good. It sounds like it's from the Beatles.
It's
it doesn't
so
even sound like
good.
a movie.
Oh my God, Liv Tyler is so beautiful and so perfect in it. But Tom Hanks is just great as their manager. It's just a great movie, and I love this. I just love it. I love any movie that deals with like show business. I always, whenever I would pitch ideas to people to develop, I'm like, okay, so it's like set on a TV set, and they're like, Americans don't really have an interest in this, like
Yes,
the
they
regular
do.
Americans.
The
and
morning
I'm like,
show.
Love it.
I know there's always like exceptions, but by and large,
30 Rock?
people.
30 Rock.
I know,
yeah.
but 30 Rock wasn't a huge hit.
It got 6-7 seasons.
I'm just saying I think Tina Fey would say it wasn't it is one of the best TV shows to ever exist without question, but it was not it was a critical hit, but I don't think it did great
Maybe
numbers.
not.
But I've just heard the feedback I've gotten from the world, and this was like maybe 3 or 4 years ago when I was thinking about making a show. A average person doesn't really interested in the inner workings of Hollywood. They're just like, they don't really care. And there are exceptions to it, but like by and large, that is not. They just want to see like things that represent mostly normal life. But it's hard because I don't really relate to those. Like whenever they're like, Nikki, let's do your character, but if she was a photographer, and I'm just like, I don't know. I would kill myself if I had to do that. No offense to photographers. Like, I would never have done that. And so I can't think like that. But then you go, okay, well, then it's not me. So I can't be a photographer. Like, Nikki Glaser can't be a photographer. or whatever. I just picked photographer. I think Whitney was that in her show Whitney, and that actually worked, and it would work. I just found it interesting that people are like, no, we don't really care about. Like Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip, people weren't that thrilled about that show, and I fucking loved it because I'm interested in that world. And I'm not saying that this is all people. I think there are going to be a lot of besties who are like, no, I love that world because you guys are savvy and cool.
People are interested in the police, the fire, and the hospitals. Those are the jobs they want to see.
Oh, yeah. First responders.
And science fiction. Can I just say, like, science fiction to me is as off limits of an interest as heavy metal music to me.
Oh.
I don't understand it. I can't relate to people who like it. It's just I know it's just, but there are some things that you guys would never ever like, no matter how much time you spent with it. You couldn't, and that's not true. I think there's just certain things that some people are totally into, and you just go, it's just not for me. And I don't science fiction. I don't really like other worlds that are just invented out of nothing. And my mom the other day said the same thing. She was like, I just don't care about
like fantasy stuff. I can't get into it either.
But the people that are into it are so into it that it makes me want to get into it because it seems it's like sports fans. Or being a Swiftie, might I say. Like, sure. I want in because I want to... I love being a Swiftie. It's one of my favorite things because I care so much about something and know so many details about this thing that's like, wouldn't exist if it weren't for her mind. So it's the same thing for R.R. Tolkien or what? J.J.R.R. Am I confusing people? J.R. Tolkien?
J.R.R. Tolkien.
Is that right?
That's
J.R.R.
Lord of the Rings.
I thought it's Tolkien.
Tolkien. Yeah. K-E-I-N. I didn't know how to pronounce it, but...
Get it together.
Or what's his name? The Game
George R.R. Martin.
Wait, why are there so many RRs in science fiction?
What does it stand for?
I mean, it's R.R. Ronald Reagan.
J. Abrams.
They insulted
JJ.
They inserted the RRs after the 80s to support Ronald Reagan, and they never took them out.
JJRR Abrams.
JJRR, yeah.
Yeah, isn't it J.J. Abrams or is it J. Abrams?
It's J.J. Abrams. Yeah, you got to have
Do
the double
call
letters.
Him JJ?
Hey, what's up, JJ? Yeah, I think so.
That's kind of cute.
I don't know if
I just
would
call him
feel
Dad.
Uncomfortable.
Wait, I had an idea. I don't want to forget to say it because it was about the planes. Way back when we were talking about planes.
No, go back.
Capitalist plan, Spirit Airlines. If you want to hit me up, I can be your marketing manager. They should, at the end of a flight, when you're walking off the flight, they should hand you a book of coupons for things that are in the city that you landed in.
Whoa.
And they can make money from the businesses who are like, I want to be in the coupon book. And it's just like another way to...
How would people not be doing that? That is like just money to be made.
Yeah. And then you get the coupons, and then you're like, oh, look, $5 off or free donut.
And you're targeting people who are visiting your city and want to explore and already are like, they're on vacation. So they're of the mindset of like spending money, but saving money.
Yeah.
It is a brilliant plan.
I could just see that book scattered all over airports where people just like dropping it.
Yes, but just like everything else. And they don't have to take one if they don't want one. It's kind of like the credit card thing.
Yeah. Do you want a coupon book? You can get a free
I like
boat
this
tour.
idea.
I know. How do we start? We got to start a business. We got to start a business.
It'd be an app, Brian. It'd be a coupon app. And it's an app that for people who travel when they land, So we can start that. That's an easy business plan. We need seed money. We need it now. Okay, so the app is that it's for people who travel, who are tourists in towns, and then if it senses that you are in that location, it unlocks coupons for you that you won't know about till you land in that city.
That's right.
Okay, I just added that thing to it. So it incentivizes traveling there, and it incentivizes like I'm special, so I'm unlocking something.
And you get free stuff every once in a while. There's giveaways and things like that. You land in Chicago, and then boom, free boat tour. Free architectural boat tour for you and three of your friends.
Can I pitch a thing that I want to do? I want to start a Swiftie account on my Instagram that's just for Swifties, and you pay $5 to subscribe. You know how you can do like close friends?
Yeah.
But it's a subscription service. So that's where I put all my Swiftie content, so I don't have to get made fun of by people who aren't Swifties on my regular account.
Well, you can there's subscribe on Instagram now.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to do that, but I feel bad making money off of her. Like I think I'm just going to add it up and donate it because I just don't want anyone to think I'm doing this to like get rich. Like I want to talk freely about Taylor Swift
Yeah.
without Tim Dillon seeing it.
That should be a feature of Instagram because like I have the same problem with my apples.
Blocking Tim Dillon.
I do cartoons. I do cartoons on my page, but I was like, I can't post Apple content on my cartoon page because the people following me for cartoons don't want to see a bunch of Apple shit. They should have a way not to have separate profiles, but just a way to divide your profile up into categories so that if people want to follow that section and it's the same amount of followers all gathering up in the same place, but it's divided.
How would you do that though?
I don't know. Instagram's got to figure this out because TikTok's going away. We need them to enhance their user experience.
All right. Well, they're on it. They're listening and they're tuned in. This weekend, Gary, Indiana, Cincinnati, Ohio. See you there, besties. Check NikkiGlaser.com for all my tour dates, which there are tons coming up. And also, get your calendars ready.
Yes.
April 11th. April
shit.
11th. I don't know what day of the week that is. Let's look it up real quick. April 11th is an important day because F Girl Island, which has been renamed. It's a Thursday on the CW.
It's got a wonderful new name.
F-Boy Island didn't do too well on the CW. Let's be honest with ourselves. We need the views. This is not something that's just like, oh, I can skip that. Nikki's my friend, but she's fine. I need you to watch F Girl Island, which has been renamed to Lovers and Liars because it's a
brilliant marketing strategy.
F-Boy Island didn't do great, so we're leaving it behind for this. But we are an F-Boy Island spinoff. It is the same gameplay, but instead there are 3 guys looking for love, and it's a bunch of women who are either F girls who are just there for the money, or nice girls who actually want a relationship, and it's fucking wild.
So good.
This
They're
is the
either
thing with
lovers,
reality shows.
They're either lovers or they're liars.
Lovers and Liars, CW, April 11th, guys. I'm not kidding. If you liked F-Boy Island, or if you didn't even watch F-Boy Island, I'm not kidding you. It's so much better because the more girls for a reality show, the more insane. That's
Set it to
the
record.
Rule. Set it to record now. Lovers and Liars, April 11th, CW. We'll see you then. See you next week on the podcast. Bye, guys. Don't be good. Bye.